Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Rapido monthly webinar. We'll be sharing with you what has happened since last time that we met, or you met Itai, I think. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and we'll review the agenda for today. And at the end of the agenda, we'll have time for questions and a discussion. So let's start with sharing. Okay, so I hope you're seeing my screen, and we'll just hit it off with the agenda. We'll see where the Rapido community stands today. We'll go to the Rapido July release, which will be next week on your production. And also, as always, we'll cover one of our frequently asked questions. By the way, if regarding the frequently asked questions, these are things that I believe are coming up between you guys. But if any of you have any recommendation for a frequently asked question, just touch base with me and we'll add it in one of our, I can't promise that it would be next month, but one of our sessions will definitely try to cover that. Okay, so what's going on with the Rapido community? First of all, we really had a fantastic month this month in terms of go lives. So we had our first Canadian customers going live during this month, and also we also had our first very big consortia going live, the entire consortia going live with Rapido. Now, the meaning of that is that you will probably see new members popping up on your request if you're part of a pod. You can always go to the documentation to see who is in which pod. But the nice thing is that our networks are expanding, so you'll probably be able to fulfill more and help each other more. And many of you know that we started trying to create, we're also trying to create a Canadian pod. Many of the members that have requested from me to join that pod already can see that under the configuration. I haven't sent an explicit message to you guys to add your participating items, because at this point, the pod is mostly has mostly U.S. institutions. I'm pretty sure it's gonna kick off soon. We need to let our Canadians, other Canadians, go live, and also define whether this is something that is suitable for them. I'm pretty sure it will happen. We're building it. You can see it. Those of you that requested to be added, you can see them under pods. I do request that you don't add participating items at this time, because really the value of the pod will happen when we have many US institutions and many Canadian institutions. So you're there. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're getting there. We also met with the Rapido working group for the first time, which was really exciting. And this is the Rapido working group from the Luna side, so the North American community. And we're soon going to meet with the Igloo working group, hopefully this month, so that we have the counterpart. And then there will be, as with other groups, monthly meeting, a shared monthly meeting between the chairs of the groups and with me. Another reminder that I will continue to remind you is to sign the resource sharing agreement. All of those of you attending here that are Rapido and totally understand why this is so important. So from you, I would expect to sign. And also, hopefully, our Alma community will join as well. We do see an increase in agreements, and I hope you've had the chance to use the functionality and see how neat it is to create new partnerships using this. And I think this is a very good opportunity for me to say, and I saw that Megan is in the meeting as well. Many of you know Megan, well done. Megan was part of the CSUs and also part of our development partners program for Rapido. So actually has been for a while working very closely with the Rapido team, and has now joined this side of the table. She's our product specialist, and as part of her role, she's in charge of customer success. So those of you might have started to receive emails from her. Those of you that are live in her role, she will communicate with you, hear about your needs, see how you're succeeding, show you functionality that might help you succeed even more. So Megan is someone to hear about, to talk to, and also she also has the responsibilities of promoting the resource sharing agreement and the directory, the Xlibris resource sharing directory. So she will be talking to our Alma community and making sure that it's a smooth process and that everything's working really well. We're really happy to have Megan as part of our team. Yeah, so a little peek, an inside peek. Please don't kill me, those of you that didn't want to see this in my presentation, but we really had an amazing first meeting, and I know that Greg, I've been talking to Greg, we'll continue to, with our next steps regarding the user group, and the nurse and the voting, etc. And of course, I can wait for the same picture from the Igloo group. Many of those actually join the earlier meeting today, so they already know what is expecting them in probably next month, I hope, to have a slide of their own. So yeah, it's great to kick this off. And with this, we're just going to move towards the July release. And I'm pretty sure there might be some questions here, so we'll try to address them, let's say, at the end of the presentation, the complete presentation. Okay, so the Rapido ecosystem, we have a new development that is actually something that you cannot experience now with your eyes, but I wanted you to know about it. This is a last resort. These are APIs related to last resort. So we've built all of the infrastructure for this last resort APIs. And just to make it a little bit more clear to you what it means, I'm going to use two examples of integrations with other organizations that can help here. So the two examples that I have here are external partners such as the CCC or Reprints Desk. Let's take the Reprints Desk example. The idea is now that we have these APIs, Reprints Desk can be called, of course, after an integration, using these APIs so that you would have a last resort. Let's say something wasn't found in our Rapido community, an article. You would have the option, I know this seems very theoretical, but it will happen pretty soon. You will have the option to use a cloud app to call, for example, Reprints Desk, see if they hold the article, at what price, and get the article to be provided to your borrowers because it wasn't found in the network. So this is a very cool stage that we are in. You will see some future integrations that we're already working on, and that will be released basically on this, based on this development. So even though it's not something that you can at this point use because the integrations that we're working on are in work, it is something that if there is some more type of organization that it's not the CCC or Reprints Desk, which we're in touch with, that could use them potentially. The APIs exist, and since the idea is that it's a cloud app, then anyone can actually start coding already and using the APIs and creating this this application unrelated to a release, by the way. So stay tuned, and let's move to the user experience. So I want to start regarding the user experience with one development related to requesting resources that are conference proceedings. Okay, so we're starting from, this is a resource. You can see here in my slides, this is a conference proceeding, and I want to get it from my library. Now, please note that I've written here ISBN. There is a reason behind this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. So what would happen here is that in this, usually there was no problem at all from the physical side of requiring conference proceedings. The problem was more when you wanted to get a digitization request for a portion of that specific volume, the volume of that conference proceeding. And what was happening is that the digital offer was actually acting as if it was an article, even though it was actually a volume, either a serial volume or just a book. The user couldn't specify anything, so it was just get it for me. So, you know, it would be like rejected because you cannot digitize the whole conference proceeding. And what has changed is that now when you hit that button, you actually get a form that will enable you to provide more information, such as from page to page. Even though if you put in the chapter title, it could be the article title, it will work. The chapter author is the author of that portion of the conference proceeding, and it will work. And you can now partially request, you can request partial portions for digitization for a concern proceeding. So what I do want you to note is that in this release, we have handled the conference proceedings that have ISBN. And next release, so August, you will see similar slides to these ones. We will do the same for conference proceedings that have ISSN. Technologically speaking, we needed to treat them in a different way. Thus, we first treated the ISBN ones, and in the next release, you'll see the ISSN. So if someone's looking for a conference proceeding that has an ISBN, the form will now open as I'm showing you now. If it is an ISSN, it will continue to behave as today. So no change there until August, but at least for those that ISBN, a portion of the conference proceeding can be requested now. Okay, so moving on to staff efficiencies. And the next development, actually, I think it's very important to those of you that have an NC, is that as lenders, Rapido knew that if you had a resource, an electronic resource at the level of the NC, you as lenders would receive that lending request. So that was working fine. What the system didn't know how to do is use that download electronic resource action in order for you to be able to download the relevant article, the relevant requested material. And this has been now fixed and enhanced. So from that window, you can now download, get to the resource itself, even though it's held at the NC level, download the article and then ship digitally. There were workarounds, but of course they weren't intuitive workflows in terms of the librarian dealing with this request, but I'm happy to say now that the system now can handle those as well. So very, very important development. Okay, so I'm moving forward with our presentation. And this one I want to explain with detail. When a resource sharing request was not done through our pods, but through a peer-to-peer connection, what's running behind the scenes is a locate process. This locate process has had, for including Alma Resource Sharing Classic, has had a behavior that this has been the behavior from the start, that if the locate process in that particular rota failed for a partner, a very good example would be missing credentials, or credentials were changed and were not updated, or something that is actually the locate is failing because of a technical reason. the request was still sent to the lender, even though the actual resource wasn't really found there. The idea behind it, the philosophy behind it can be explained maybe by saying that, you know, the system just simply couldn't technically check, and thus what it's trying to do is still sending the lending request. And of course, from the lending library, they would reject it, saying that they don't have the resource, which could, of course, cause a little bit of inconvenience from the lending side. Now, the change that we've done from this release, you can now prevent this from happening. So we have under the configuration of Rapido, the configuration resource sharing, if you go to the general menu and other settings, we have added this setting that you can see here. Rapido do not send requests when locate fails. If you set it to true, then what the system will do in this case is that it will, if there was a technical failure, the system will continue to the next partner in the rota and try to locate the resource there. If it's there, of course, it will be sent. If there was a technical reason, it will go into the next partner, etc. Now, a very important note for me to stress here is this one, because we have a mixed audience of non-Rapido customers, to be Rapido customers, Rapido customers that are live. The default for new Rapido customers of this parameter is true. What it means is that if tomorrow a new customer subscribes to Rapido, this will be the default behavior for them. If they don't like it, they can of course change it to false. What it means for those of you that are already existing Rapido customers, either on implementation or live, we are actually leaving the behavior of the system as it is, meaning the parameter is set to false. If you want to change the behavior, as explained here today, you need to go into the configuration and set this to true if you want to. So again, the default for a new future customer is don't send the request if the locate failed for technical reasons. For those of you that are already live or in implementation, if you want to change the behavior, you need to go into the configuration and change this. Okay, I'm moving forward. Another development that we did, and we have some customers that make use of this API, is that the boring request API is now using is now including the link information. So this is for very specific institutions that use the API and are providing the Rapido experience to their users via their own discovery system. Now the link to the resource will be available on that API, including all of the information that is needed, such as how many times has the link been used to retrieve the resource, etc. And of course, keeping that functionality that if the maximum limit of views has been reached, then of course the link will not be enable the user to get the resource again. Okay, so moving to our next one. And the next one is the Rapido Analytics. Actually, this month we dedicated a lot of time to Rapido Analytics. And the first development that I want to talk about is the field locally. So we've added a new field under the Rapido section, the Rapido attributes, under the area of the borrowing request, which is the field locally field. This field is really important because it can help you create the right statistics for your borrowing request. And it indicates, it's going to be used to indicate actually three things: whether the request was filled locally, so it was actually fulfilled by resources held by your library because you're using this option, or by an external lender, or if it was a test using also the functionality that we released a few releases ago in order to test. So this will give you a very clear indication on how to look at those requests, those borrowing requests, and probably you would like to create different reports based on this information. How many of those are just tests and exclude them maybe from your borrowing request reports? How many of them are filled locally? Very important to understand how you're providing the service to your library, or if there's more requests for resources out of the library, and of course, just to see what's coming from external partners. External partners meaning not your institution. Okay, so this is the field locally. The cancellation reason is also something that we added to the borrowing request area. And now you can see why the request was canceled from the borrowing side and understand better what's happening behind the scenes. I will just add a note that in terms of the note, because there's a note, this note is, you can still find that you can still do some crosses between areas under the fulfillment area. You also had the cancellation reason. We just found that it was important also to have it from here. But if you create those reports that include many areas, then you can also add the cancellation note if you need to. But most basically, the cancellation reason is something that it's now part of the borrowing request without needing to cross between areas. And a few releases ago, we added new ProTerms. Most basically, we added a whole 2 sets that are referring to renewals, how the pod behaves in terms of renewals, so the number of renewals, and whether automatic renewal is allowed. And also, we added the Rapido expiry time, which would be the number of days until the borrowing request expires. And now, after the development, the functional development was deployed, now this information is also stored in analytics. So you can find it also under your analytics information, such as pod name, pod, the loan period of the pod, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these parameters are also part of analytics now. And last thing that I wanted to highlight for this release is that we already had the pod name field under analytics, but we didn't have, it didn't include those rotas that were marked as locally managed pods. And from this release, the name of the rota will be stored as well under the pod name. It's a locally managed rota, but it's behaving as a pod. So you will have this information as well under the pod name. Okay, we've rushed through the highlights of this release. I want to move to the frequently asked questions, and I don't want to stop now. I want to rush through it, and then we can. I'll stop my presentation, and we can go to questions. Okay, so my Rapido frequently asked question today is related to the Rapido offers, and it's related to a development that actually was presented to you guys last release. But I thought that it would make sense to touch upon a little corner of this development and give you also some back of the scenes of why the system is behaving in a particular way in a particular scenario. So maybe not relevant for all of you, but I do want to make this very clear. Okay, so from the June release, what we changed is the way in which the tiles behave. And the change that we made is that the tiles are actually giving more visibility to your users. So we're not waiting until all of the information is processed by Rapido, but also indicating to the user that something's happening. So the tiles appear with those rotating icons, giving the indication that the system is looking for a physical offer, the system is looking for a digital offer. This also, by the way, brings improvements to the performance of the Rapido tiles. And the other change that we made is once as we have a response, we present it. We don't wait to have all of the information. We start to present the information as fast as we have it. What you're seeing here is an example that I want to use specifically for this change in behavior. And this particular offer that you're seeing here, I search for something and I can get a physical copy of this resource in 9 days and keep it for 150 days. And I have also, I can get a digitization request, but I don't have the terms for it now. So this is what we call a Rapido offer with no terms, not known terms for the moment, okay? Now, the change in behavior is that if you were using the display logic rules not to present offers that don't have terms, the system will check whether terms are there, and if there weren't, then only one tile would be presented. So again, using the example that I just showed of not having digital terms, and you having set up the system with this particular display logic rules, it means that the user would get just to get a physical offer in this particular case. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of build up to get to what I want to say. Okay, so here we are. So now you can see that this is kind of showing another example with the same behavior, but now the behavior since the June release. So the system found very fast a copy of a book, and it's still searching for a digital offer. By the way, everything that I'm saying now could be reversed, could be the opposite. The opposite, I'm just sticking to my digital example, but it's relevant also for the physical. So I have set up my system to not present Rapido offers when there are no terms. At this point, the system is looking for a resource. It's found a physical copy very fast. It's still looking. If I would show this in live, you would see the little icon of the little icon moving around. Okay, spinning. And what you now see, which is it's a change in behavior, is that instead of just showing the physical offer, we still remain, once the system has done its check, it still brings two sections. So the physical, of course, stays as it is, and the digital is just showing you that no digital offer is available at this time. And of course, the text is customizable and can be changed. And I want to explain a little bit of the idea behind of why we actually are not showing only the get physical copy. And the idea behind that is that it is actually an user experience recommendation. So we work together, just giving you some insights. We have a user experience teams that work across all of our systems, and how the experience of our users and staff librarians is experienced, and what are the recommendations in terms of what you do. And the recommendation here is that elements don't disappear, just don't simply disappear. So if I go up here and I'm seeing something that the system is trying to search something, I cannot just make it disappear after it has found that there's no, in your terms, because of using the DLR, there's no offer. We need to still give a message that the user cannot just simply imagine that something broke and what's happening here. So again, I invite you to know this if you're using this DLR. I don't know if many of you are using this, maybe some of you are using it. If you're hiding offers by terms, both physical and digital, you might want to make sure that the text is as you expect. The idea is that they cannot place the offer. As you can see here, there is no get it button. And again, I wanted to make very clear why this is happening. This is not a bug or something that we didn't take into account during the design phase. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see not your faces, but I can see. And I really invite you, we have the time for questions, and would like to, I see a beautiful comment from Greg. I hope it's from the picture of our working group, and maybe also from our Rapido, which would be great. So guys, we have the opportunity to ask anything. You can either write it on the QA or or even I can open up your mics if you want to speak it out, but this is a good time for questions on anything, on the presentation, on anything that you wish to ask at this point. I wonder how many of you are going, but there's no raise of hands here. So how many of you are going to use the new parameter for the locate? It would be interesting for me to know, but of course you need to explore this option. Probably not something you can say now, but it will be interesting just to see what's going to happen there. Okay, listen, guys, before you go, check if you've signed the agreement. If not, sign it. That's the first homework from our session today. Remember that we'll have Megan reach to you. Thank you for those that are writing that you're planning to do this. And also, again, for those of you that are live, you will receive or you have received already an invitation from Megan to talk to you. And of course, we'll be very happy to see you next month. You can already register for that webinar so that you don't forget. And you know where to find us. And that's it from me. So take care.